Hello everyone, welcome to Fatality Fitness. I'm Aaron, your coach and your Sifu, your instructor, and this video is all about boxing basics. So this is going to be a 6-part series of boxing basics, starting with the first video, which is about the 1, the jab, and the 2. Okay, so this is going to be covering the kind of science of how we throw them, why we throw them, and the success rate and whatnot. So let's begin with how to form a fist. Okay, so initially with boxing, the problem is that everyone believes they can punch, and it's just not true. Like with any other sport, especially martial arts, it's not true that you can just do something without the technique, the training, the teaching, and the stylings of it. Okay, so how to form a fist? The easiest way to look at this is to wrap or fold your knuckles into your palm, tighten them up, and then lock them in with your thumb. This isn't this isn't rocket science here. It's quite easy to form a fist, but you don't want to be loose and you don't want to be squeezing too tight. You want to tuck it in, lock it in, and it's ready to hit. Normally you will have a bit of a slant on your knuckles, which is very natural, especially if you look at the Jack Dempsey way of throwing punches. You want to be hitting down the power line with these 2 last knuckles in the Dempsey way. I usually drive my fist forward to hit with the middle knuckle first and then kind of twist, but that's more my Kung Fu training. That will be covered in some other videos, which will be a Kung Fu basics, but boxing basics. So how to form a fist, how to form a stance. For me, I'm orthodox, which means I'm left foot forward, left hand forward, right leg back, right hand back. Okay, so how to form a stance in boxing, you went roughly shoulder width apart, but the feet need to be adjacent to each other, but slightly angled. So if you can see this here, if you can see the floor, my left foot is usually directed here at my opponent. My right foot is a little bit more maneuverable in terms of how I switch where my foot is and what that can lead to. Okay, so shoulder width apart, stable. Try and share out through your core and through your chi center. Try and share out the energy into both legs, so I can switch back, forth, whichever way I need to between both feet. Okay, so orthodox, southpaw. So it just depends on which hand is your power hand. You want your power hand at the back usually, okay? So for me, my power hand is my right. That's why it's always going to be protecting my chin and ready to throw if I need to from the back. So that's the stance. Now, how to form a guard. Many different variations of this. The first one I would teach and have taught to boxing beginners is basically elbows tucked close to your ribs. You're protecting the ribs, that soft area. You've got your hands roughly at your chin, and you want the right hand further back and the left hand almost floating in front. Again, this can be taught in many different ways, and this is just looking at the basics. So initially, what we want to think of is forming a guard here, which can protect our body and protect our head. Okay, especially the chin and the jaw here. You want to have your hands up ready to block, and also to throw. That leads me to the next part, which is from your chin to your chin. This is how I teach boxing basics, is usually through the most simplistic form of what can be very complicated down the line. And usually, whereas you can throw punches from below, if you have like the Philly shell guard, you have to do a lot of rotation to get your punches in. But let's go back to basics. We're protecting ourselves and we're making sure we can throw. So from the chin to the chin, from the chin to the chin. That's what I found quite a lot of success in teaching that, because when you're thinking of throwing a punch, often you're thinking about the throwing of it and the connecting and not to bring it back. And that's when a lot of people drop hands down and sometimes just leave it as if it's like, it's done. It's never done until that person's on the floor knocked out. It's never done. So from your chin to your chin. Okay, for now, boxing basics. Okay, how to jab. We are going to get into exercises next. So let's just learn how to jab, how to straight for 1, 2, and then we'll get into a couple of the exercises where you guys can practice too, okay? So, how to jab. I'm going to put my weight slightly more on my front leg when I jab, so I can lean my shoulder in, bam, straight down the pipe, straight down, and I can lean in slightly. So if you can see my feet here, bam, bam, it comes out. Let's for now think of like a piston jab and a piston straight, just bam, bam, down the middle, okay? So that jab is coming off my front leg. I'm digging my toes into the floor slightly to get that extra grip and to channel my force up into my fist, okay? The straight off the backhand, the right, again from my chin, I throw it out by twisting my hips, my obliques, and then it comes through my shoulder, and I'm digging in my back foot, my power foot, I'm digging that into the ground and pushing through with it. You'll often notice that a jab and a straight, the straight can go further than the jab, but that's basically from you twisting and allowing yourself some momentum and range of motion all the way down from the bottom of your foot to your fist. So 1, there's my range. 2, there's a further range. It doesn't always have to be so rigid. It can just flow, and you don't have to accentuate every foot movement, especially if you're trying to figure an opponent out, and if you're trying to throw a couple of feints and some jabs and straights that might bait the reaction, not necessarily going for the knockout, okay? So jab from your chin, back to your chin. It's going straight down the middle, you're holding your toes on the floor, bam, jab. Straight from your chin to your chin, out, get a little hip twist in the groin too, you're twisting that in. So imagine the right hip or the back hip is going to stab at your opponent here, okay? And that's how you generate power, speed, and it works the same for head, body, okay? So let's get into a couple of exercises which should help you form an opinion and help you form an understanding of what jabs and straights can and can't do. They can do a lot, a hell of a lot. So we're going to get into a drill. Each of these is going to take around about a minute, okay? So there's about, I think, 7 exercises. We'll take a minute to go through, and I want you to practice with me here. I'm going to change my stance both ways, so you get front angle and I get side angle. It doesn't mean you have to, okay? It's just so you can get a better view of the dynamics of what's going on. So, first of all, for 1 minute, I know I'm jumping on my toes now and we haven't covered this, but if you think about the balance here in the core center, all I'm doing is passing on my energy from foot to foot. And this is the kind of boxer's bounce, okay? So that's how we start. That can help you get motion coming into the punches. But for now, I'll stay straight and flat so we can really look at the core dynamics of it, okay? So for 1 minute, I just want a 1, 2, guard, okay? 1, 2, guard. That's it. That's all it is. So, ready? Fighting stance. Hands up. Looking forward, looking at the opponent, imagine the opponent. I've got a mirror in front of myself here, which helps me see the dynamics. You can do it in front of whatever you want to do. But let's go. So, 1, 2, for a minute. We breathe out to exert the energy as we throw, okay? There's going to be a million different sounds that people can make. If you've ever been into a martial arts gym, you would have heard s and ah and ooh and all of these kind of different motions, different sounds, attributed to these motions. But it's really, I suppose it's like a mutant power. It just comes out how it comes out, right? So I'm often or s. So as you see, 1, 2. 1, 2. So my hands I'm coming back to my chin. If I needed a guard, all I have to do is rotate a little bit and turn some side of my body and cover, okay? As long as they come back to my chin, I'm pretty much happy with being partially protected. Okay, last 15 seconds. Five, 3, 2, 1. Okay, that's jab and cross and guard. Now, 1 minute, double jab, okay? 5 more seconds. 3, 2, 1. Jab, jab. That's all it is. Jab, jab. I can lean into my shoulder to get that range. From my chin to my chin. Twice. Double jab works perfectly for sending one up top and one to the body, okay? You have to get a little slight bend in the knees and pop kind of like the tiniest squat you can imagine just to hit the body. So bam, bam. Ten seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. This is double jab. Now we're going to add to that one more punch. Double jab, cross. A really nice way to throw the cross or any backhanded punch is by coming off the front-handed punch. So on the double jab, 1, 2. As I'm throwing this, I'm pulling this back, okay? I'm a Kung Fu black belt 3rd Dan, and I very much respect the teachings that we have to open to close and close to open. The yin yang, the Taoist scriptures, the Taoist philosophies, everything is contrast, everything. And with body motion, it's so precise and so profound that we've discovered these secrets for thousands of years. And martial artists are the practitioners of these 1,000-year-old secrets. So here's a little one. First jab, second jab. I'm pulling this back and my shoulder back, this jab, coming back to my chin. And as I do, my right shoulder is naturally coming in. I'm going to swap power, transition power, bam. So that right hand is a strong one, okay? Let's give it a go. 3, 2, 1, let's go. Double jab straight. Jab up straight. Don't forget about that first jab. It still means something, even if you're throwing it out to get a reaction, but you can pound through the first and the second. But it's not just, okay? It's still bam, bam, bam. Ten more seconds. 3, 1. Good. So that was double jab, cross. These are the absolute foundation of all punches. All pugilism comes back to being able to throw, even if you were like this, these twist into straight punches. The hooks and the uppercuts, which we'll get to later in some other videos, they're very much more dynamic motions. The straight punches are the foundation, the absolute foundation of everything. So now let's try just a jab body. Covered it a little bit on the double jab, but the jab body, now we're aiming straight for, I would say, the sternum, the solar plexus. Getting a punch in there never feels nice, not at all. Can hit the breath out, and a nice sharp jab can really stop someone in their tracks. If I'm coming in towards someone and they hit the body jab, I get in, I get that, that's going to send me back and make me reevaluate how I'm going to attack rather than going straight forward. So we want to bend the knees slightly. The knees are always slightly bent, ever so slightly, for flexibility and for maneuverability, okay? So we're going to bend, and you're going to twist in, much like you did with the backhand. You're going to twist in slightly with the front, and you're going to drop down, okay? That drop down coming off the center line. So watch. So that's just so I can move out of the way of the punch if I need to and throw my own. So I'm not just going and leaving my chin out, okay? So let's give it a go, 1 minute. Body jabs. Remember, this is all about figuring it out, figuring out how you do these motions. Excuse me. This is what a basics video should be about. You should be making mistakes. You should be questioning yourself right now. Is that right? Is that right? Only you can tell yourself. You'll feel what is right. Sometimes you get distracted. I throw a punch and I'm like, just didn't feel right. Only you can feel that. So with a body jab, as long as you've got the bent knees, the leaning in, the head of the center line, you're going to feel when it connects. Obviously, don't be punching people right now. Try and just punch the air. Shadow boxing's really good for that. So, okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, body jabs, good. Now cross body, okay? Not like JR from WWE, like cross body. Not that. Across to the body. Exactly the same principle as what we use from the cross up top. This time I'm going to come off the center line. Let's show here. There's a cross to the top. I'm slightly off the center line. I turn my head slightly, my shoulders protecting my chin, okay? With the body, you want to point your front foot. Your back foot is still going to get that twist, but you're obviously aiming at a downward angle here. Again, solar plexus is the perfect place to aim. We're just under. So, cross body. Remember to protect your chin. That's coming in and back to your chin, okay? So you're pushing off the back foot, especially the toes grip onto the floor. Push through, bam, bam. Especially coming from a Kung Fu background, this is called the reverse punch, and you can stop people in their tracks dead with this, with a very well timed as they're stepping in, bam. Even if it's just straight to the gut, doesn't feel nice. Let's give it a go. So, 2 to the body, cross body. I'm not looking for speed or power here. I want you to be figuring out the technique. That is above both, always. So on the side. Five seconds. 2, 1, go. Stop, not go. Okay, last one. We're putting all this together, but it's on you to put it together, okay? So this is just 1 minute of freestyle shadow boxing. So all I want you to use is the straights, but definitely changing levels and trying to get a feeling of the flow, of the rhythm of the punches. Anyone can go, but not everyone can make it flow, make it fly as you should, as you need to, as you want to, in fact, which is really what all technique leads to, is being able to use it precisely on cue when you need to. So shadow boxing is the perfect exercise to practice this. Visualize, imagine. All of martial arts are in here as well as all of this. It's up here. So visualize, imagine. Your shadow boxing, reflections are perfect to do it. But each punch and throw, think about that punch, not the next, that punch. It's always only what we're doing at the time, okay? And you realize the more you think about that punch, the easier it's going to be to throw that one, then that one, then that one, okay? These will start to piece together. If you are truly new to boxing, this might feel alien. You might feel like you look a fool. All martial artists look fools until they don't, okay? So let's try 1 minute of straight punches as you see fit. And don't be afraid to try, to test it. Okay, let's go. Remember, you can double up with a double jab, then the straight. You can throw a 1-2-1-2 is probably the easiest and smoothest of 4-punch combos. And if you can see my feet on this, you can really get some rhythm to it by using your footwork, again, which is covered in a different video. Remember, from your chin to your chin. Double jab. Just pepper them with jabs. 10 seconds. Push it out. Time. Okay, that is boxing basics. For a 1 and a 2, a jab and a straight. Next session we will cover hooks. Session after that, uppercuts. Session after that, footwork. Session after that, head movement. Session after that, punches and bunches. Being able to throw combinations, okay? Throwing a 1-2 is paramount to all boxing, all pugilism, in the history of it. So just remember that straight punches count for the most significant strikes landing in boxing. Even though we love to see the hook and the uppercuts, especially the Tyson style, that torque traveling through and knocking out, is going to be this and this, this and this, that's keeping people away, okay? So they are the bread and butter, the lexicon of the language of the straight punches in boxing. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video for the hooks.